What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Fearless Nick YouTube channel, and in today's video I'll be going through my top 10 AFL draft picks for 2022. Now I must apologize again, I've been very slack on the uploads as of late. I think it's been like, what, 3 weeks since I've uploaded. I've been very busy, it's fair to say. I've been very busy studying for exams, so that's the main reason really why I haven't been uploading. But after Thursday I should be all good and I should be uploading hopefully regularly. I'm trying to get maybe 2 videos a week hopefully. So if you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like, share and subscribe to the channel if you are new or if you've seen my content before. But if you've been enjoying it as of late, please consider hitting that big red subscribe button down below. We are so close to 350 subs and I'm trying to get there by the end of the year. And yeah, like I said, after Thursday when my exams finish, I will be uploading as regularly as possible. But anyways, without any further ado, yeah, let's get stuck into it. So just like I did this video last year with the 2021 AFL draft, I'm going to be going from pick 1 all the way down to pick 10. Now, from what I've heard, apparently the top 4 is probably already confirmed. It's just about the order they go in. But with pick number 1, obviously it's being held by the GWS Giants this year. They obviously didn't finish last on the ladder this year. It was actually North Melbourne, but they ended up getting that pick 1 after a trade, after that mega trade with North, Port Adelaide and West Coast. So the Giants have now ended up with pick 1, and I think it's pretty obvious who they're going to take. They are not going to bid on Will Ashcroft. They are going to be taking Aaron Cadman with the number 1 pick in the 2022 AFL draft. Now, from what I've seen of him, he's a big key forward that could potentially make an immediate impact for the Giants. We know they did struggle with scoring this year, and since Jeremy Cameron, I think they've really struggled with their key forwards. Obviously, they've got Jesse Hogan there, that guy Riccardi. Yeah, they haven't really had that elite key forward since Jeremy Cameron left, and I feel like Aaron Cadman, he's exactly what they need. They've got plenty of midfielders despite losing Taranto and Hopper throughout the off-season. Nonetheless, I've got Aaron Cadman as the number 1 pick in the 2022 AFL draft. Well, if it doesn't happen at pick number 1, it will happen at pick number 2. So with pick number 2, I've got North Melbourne bidding on Will Ashcroft, and that will obviously be matched by the Brisbane Lions. Will Ashcroft, probably the best player in this year's draft, I'd have to say, and I think a lot of you would probably agree with that. He's a very good inside midfielder from the Sandringham Dragons. But yeah, have seen a lot of highlights of this man. I believe in one of his games, I think it said he actually racked up like 51 touches or something, which is actually crazy. Like, yeah, that is definitely AFL standard. That is just mind-blowing. 51 touches for an 18 or 19-year-old. He's going to be adding to an already really good midfield of the likes of Zorko, McCluggage, Berry. They've just added Josh Dunkley. Neil, like that midfield is going to be stacked next year for Brisbane, and I can't wait to see him run out for the Lions next year. With pick number 2, I've got North Melbourne bidding on Will Ashcroft, and obviously Brisbane will match that bid. So the Lions will take Will Ashcroft. At pick number 3, we've got North Melbourne. They obviously did finish last on the ladder this year, so they'll be looking to get as much talent as possible. They've actually got the next 2 picks, so they've got picks 3 and pick 4. But anyways, with their first pick at pick number 3, I've got them taking George Wardlaw, another Victorian talent, another big inside midfielder. He's quite a good player from what I've seen. He's a very good stoppage player. And also he's a little bit versatile. He can play a little bit half forward as well. And I really like him. So I feel like he's going to fit well into the North Melbourne list, who probably need as much talent as they can get at the moment. Yeah, pick 3, I've got North Melbourne taking George Wardlaw. Now we move on to pick number 4, and we've got North Melbourne again. And with this pick, I think this is pretty obvious as well. They will be taking Harry Sheezel, another local Victorian, who's also very versatile, can also play midfield. He's similar to Wardlaw, but he hits the scoreboard a lot more than George Wardlaw does, and that's why I really like him, because he can play that sort of small forward / half forward role, and I feel like he is going to fit well alongside the likes of Nick Larkey, Cam Zurhaar, Jai Simpkin, Taron Thomas, Davies Uniacke. I feel like he is going to fit the North Melbourne list perfectly. Yeah, it's already been, like I said, partly confirmed that North Melbourne will be taking Wardlaw and Sheezel with their first couple of picks. But I don't blame them because they're two very quality players. I think George Wardlaw and Harry Sheezel will be the two that sort of bring North Melbourne up and will be the young leaders of this club, similar to what Brayshaw and Sarong have done at Freo. I think that will have a similar. I think that will be similar with these two at North Melbourne. Yeah, with pick number 4, I have North Melbourne taking Harry Sheezel. Alrighty, so here we are, pick number 5. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting. This is arguably the first live pick of the draft, and in my opinion, this pick could almost shape the rest of the top 10. With pick number 5, we've got Essendon. Now, we obviously all know the story of Essendon this year. They fell off drastically after making the finals in 2021, so they'll be looking to get a good pick with this pick number 5 here. More preferably, maybe a midfielder, or maybe even an outside midfielder. There's a number of players I could think of for the Bombers that would fit well. Tsatas, Philippou, maybe even someone like an Elijah Hewett, a Cam Mackenzie, maybe even a key back like a Jed Buslinger. Is that too high for him? But for me, I've settled on Elijah Tsatas. Now, I know what you're thinking. The Bombers, they don't need any more smaller midfielders. They've got plenty of those already, like Hobbs and Merritt and whatnot. But I feel like the Bombers, another issue that the Bombers had this year and they really lacked was a little bit of outside run and class. And I feel like Tsatas is the perfect player for the Bombers because he can provide that outside run, and he's also quite good with his foot skills from what I've seen. Some people have him going a little bit lower, maybe around the 7-8 range, even 10 I saw as well. But I feel like he's a very quality player, Elijah Tsatas, and I feel like he will fit well with the likes of Archie Perkins, Ben Hobbs. For me, I can see the Bombers taking Elijah Tsatas just because I feel like they'll want that outside class more than that inside midfielder. And yeah, I have the Bombers taking Elijah Tsatas. Next up at pick number 6, we've got the Gold Coast Suns. Now, this is really a pick I don't really know what to do with. I think the Suns, they're in a position here where they could almost go best available here because obviously we saw a lot from them this year. They were very exciting. They beat a lot of really good teams like Sydney, Freo, Carlton. They could go for a Matthias Philippou, but then again, they're pretty good on the inside with the likes of Rowell and Anderson and Took Miller. I feel like they're pretty set in the midfield. So I've gone for someone a little bit more, maybe half forward, a little bit more versatile. I've gone with Bailey Humphrey for the Suns. That could be a little bit decisive as well. Again, the Suns, it's unknown what they're going to do, considering they already have a really good young list. Now, Bailey Humphrey, what I've seen from him, I really like him. I'm a big fan of him. From what I've seen, he's very good up forward, has an eye for goal, and he's a bit of a good size as well, that sort of 180 sort of range there. So I feel like he's going to fit well into the Gold Coast team, and considering they lost Isaac Rankin, like I said, they want that player who can play forward, and I think he can go in the middle. I'm not sure. I'm not a draft expert, so I don't know. But yeah, I've got Bailey Humphrey going to the Gold Coast Suns at pick number 6. I feel like he's probably in that 5 to maybe 11, 12 range. If this is a bit high, let me know. But yeah, I've got Bailey Humphreys going at pick number 6 to the Gold Coast Suns. Next up, we've got pick number 7. We've got Hawthorn here at this pick. Now, we obviously know Hawthorn, they were very busy throughout the trade period. They traded out the likes of Tom Mitchell, Jager O'Meara. They got Carl Amon. But I think after trading out those guys like Mitchell and O'Meara, I feel like they'll want to go for an inside midfielder here. So I have gone for Matthias Philippou for the Hawks. I just feel like if he does get through to their pick 7, if Essendon bypass him, if Gold Coast bypass him, then I feel like Hawthorn have to seriously consider him at their pick because he's a very damaging midfielder. He's a big body, he's damaging. He can hit the scoreboard, and he's been widely compared to Patrick Cripps and Marcus Bonampelli. So I feel like he is too good to pass up if he does get through to Hawthorn. That would be who I would pick if I was the Hawthorn list manager or draft manager or whatever. I love Philippou. I love those inside midfielders, those bigger body inside midfielders. I feel like they're so good when they come through. And I feel like Philippou, he's got it all. He could be one of the stars of the competition. So if I was Hawthorn and Matthias Philippou was still there, I reckon I would consider him, and I would probably pick him because he could turn out to be a really good player, especially for the Hawks who, you know, have now traded out two of their guns in Mitchell and O'Meara. Pick number 7, I've got the Hawks taking the big body midfielder Matthias Philippou from South Australia. Next up at pick number 8, we've got the reigning premiers, the Geelong Footy Club. I still can't believe that they have got a pick inside the top 10. I mean, this is extremely rare. The reigning premiers, the best team for the majority of the year, with a pick inside the top 10 is just ridiculous. I'm pretty sure if you win the premiership, your first pick is in like the 20s at best. Like, this is just so rare. But anyways, they do have a pick here, Geelong, and I feel like this is pretty obvious who they will select. I've got Geelong taking Jhye Clark, the young Geelong boy himself. I'm pretty sure he was the main reason why they actually did that Jack Bowes trade in the first place. That was to get this pick, to get into the top 10, to get Jhye Clark. Because, you know, their first pick before that was probably in like the 20s or like 18, 19, around there. Obviously, they did trade up, and I can see why, because he's pretty much the Joel Selwood of this year's draft in terms of leadership, and obviously, I feel like he would be a great replacement for someone like Joel Selwood. He's got leadership in him. He's quite a good user by foot as well, and normally makes the right decisions. And I can see a bit of Joel Selwood in this guy. And yeah, I don't think the teams like Gold Coast and Hawthorn are going to bother trying, maybe thinking about him, because we obviously know the home factor with the Geelong boys. They normally do come home after a couple of years if they're not drafted to Geelong. But anyways, I've got Geelong taking Jhye Clark at pick number 8. Now we move on to the next pick, which is pick number 9. We've got West Coast at this pick. Now, similar to North, West Coast, they just need some talent, don't they? They need some young talent, more specifically a couple of midfielders. That might hint as to who I'm actually going to be selecting for them. I did consider Jed Buslinger at this pick, but like I just said, West Coast are pretty set in terms of defenders. They got McGovern, they got Barras, they got Hearn. So I've gone for the second best Western Australian talent. Yeah, I've gone for Elijah Hewett for the Eagles. I know this might seem a little bit strange. People might be questioning, why didn't I go with Jed Buslinger? I feel like this will be a needs-based pick for West Coast here. I think they're going to be smart about their recruiting this year, considering they've got another pick, but it's not going to be in this video, but they have got another pick. I think it's like pick 12, pick 13. But yeah, the reason I've gone for Elijah Hewett is because I feel like, again, this is a needs-based for West Coast. From what I've seen of him, he's very explosive, he's very skillful. He's a bit of a mixture of Scott Pendlebury and Christian Petrarca, I think. And, you know, that's some high hopes for a guy who's going pick 9. A lot of people would say he's by like pick 1, pick 2. I feel like just because he's Western Australian, teams might not go for him because, you know, the home factor and all that. And I feel like if he does get through to one of West Coast picks, even if they take Buslinger at this pick and they try and go for Hewett later, I feel like they might go for him here just because, you know, they don't want to miss out on a guy who, like I said, has the class of Scott Pendlebury and the explosiveness of Christian Petrarca. But yeah, I've got Elijah Hewett going at pick number 9 for West Coast. Like I said, a needs-based pick. I think he will really help the Eagles midfield next year, and I reckon he should get at least a few games next year if he does get drafted by the Eagles. And finally, we are here at pick number 10. We've got St Kilda at this pick. Now, the Saints, they're a bit of an interesting one. They have a lot of top-end, sort of older players. I feel like they would benefit massively from some younger talent. I've actually gone for Cam Mackenzie at pick number 10 for the Saints. One of my favourite players in this draft, probably behind Philippou. But yeah, I really like Cam Mackenzie. I feel like he would be a good fit at the Saints. He's also really tough and very skillful by foot. I feel like he will help the Saints more if they do draft him. I know teams like Gold Coast, Hawthorn, and West Coast were all considering him their picks, but if he does get through to the Saints, I reckon they should be picking him up. I feel like he's going to help the Saints midfield a little bit and can potentially maybe pinch hit it, maybe a half forward or a half back. I don't really know what Ross Lyon's going to do if they do end up with Cam Mackenzie. That'll be very interesting to see what happens there. But I feel like he's going to be a perfect fit for the Saints if they do end up going with him, or if he does get through to their pick. And I have got him going to the Saints at pick number 10. So there we go, guys. That was my top 10 sort of phantom draft. Remember to comment down below your top 10 for this upcoming draft. Remember, the draft is on the 28th of November. So I am pretty late to doing this video, but hopefully you still enjoyed. Remember to leave a like, share, and subscribe. Like I said at the start of the video, I'm so close to 350 subs. I think I'm like 3 away. So please hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. It really, really means a lot. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Cheers!